So the diaspora that I chose was the Nicaraguan diaspora. In the Harvest of Empire, Gonzalez discusses the diaspora of the Central America, and he discusses how many of the countries in Central America had worsened conditions of the economies um, around the lost decade, which was around the 1980s. So in the lost decade, there was a debt crisis and devaluation of money compared to the U.S. because of GDP. And so a lot of the diasporas can be easily attributed to push and pull factors, such as a decrease in GDP, increase in war, and there being better situations across the border. Specifically for Nicaragua, there were a couple of factors leading up to the diaspora, which can be attributed to the relations of the U.S. and Nicaraguan officials that essentially allowed for the ransacking of the nations by the Somozas. And this was before the last decade that the Somozas were taking over, but it was coming to a point in 1972 that things took a turn and a new generation of revolutionaries arose, which were considered the Sandinistas. Um, there was wars going on from before, but the U.S. had been training the Nicaraguans in terms of military, and in 1972 they just got enough of people to create a new revolution and go against the Somozas. And so there was a lot of casualties around this time, and a lot of people were fleeing because of the war going on. And so that was really their only option. I had to do some separate research, and it appears that a lot of them fled to Costa Rica was the main place, and the second place was to the U.S. And this was given to me by Pew Research. And so in Nicaragua specifically, there was about 60,000 deaths around 1989. And the U.S. played a weird role because a lot of the Nicaraguans that left Nicaragua because of the wars were seeking asylum, and a lot of people were getting refused asylum from Central American countries. But because the U.S. was heavily involved with the politics in Nicaragua, they accepted more Nicaraguans. About 25% of people who seeked asylum they accepted, and so they played a role in that way, where they allowed more from Nicaragua in terms of refugees than they did from many other countries that were also war torn. But another way that they played a role was that they provided weapons to fuel the killings in Nicaragua. And so that was those were the main ways that the U.S. played a role. I mean, there's clearly other factors in terms of resources that they had taken before, but all of this was over time. It was a war that was fueled over time based on dictatorship and relationships between dictators in the U.S. And to make matters worse, once Sandinistas had actually taken over, the U.S. had tried to resolve or stabilize the government under the Sandinista rule, but it was quickly overturned. Carter was making an effort to try to stabilize the economy in Nicaragua with the Sandinistas, and then when Reagan came into control, he ruined the progress by fueling even more war, and it caused even more people to leave. And it's kind of it's really weird to read all of this because of everything that's going on right now at the border. I know that recently there was a lot of people migrating from Honduras to try to cross the border, and it sucks that a lot of these wars are fueled by things that the U.S. had dipped their hands in. Like they they could have done stuff to prevent people from migrating to the U.S., but these people don't really have a choice, and it sucks that when the U.S. had gotten their hands dirty in these situations, that they're rejecting all these people from coming up when they did play a role in the wars that are happening in Central America. And so that was really all that I had from the book, with Gonzalez's information. But the main idea is that there was wars going on, there was a better economy elsewhere, a better life, better future for people to move from their countries to somewhere that wasn't war torn. People wanted to just live a better life at that point, and ultimately that's the reason why people moved. And that's what happened in Nicaragua and why people moved from Nicaragua.